doing today?
I'm doing really well. Good evening, Julien. How are things over in Paris?
It is great here. You are doing very well. So what kind of story are you going to be sharing today?
I have a long-running frustration.
Okay.
And I don't think I can even do this one without mentioning that it's Adobe, because it's going to be so obvious to anybody. I might as well just admit it. Through my work, I deal with a lot of PDFs, which is the document that Adobe creates. And there are a number of third-party tools that you can use to edit them. And sometimes I'm called on to edit them. And it's once or twice a month. It's not something I'm doing on any kind of a regular basis. Theoretically, it's not a part of my job, but it happens. So at one point, I got an Adobe tool, and it had the ability to edit. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And of course, what I ended up doing was signing up for a 30-day trial. And at the end of the 30-day trial, it was, oh, your trial's over. And I even went to uninstalling it and reinstalling it. And to their credit, it knew it was still me. So that was a fail. And finally, I'm like, you know what? $15, I'll just do it. That's fine. I'll eat it. I'm not happy. I don't like this company. They're making me pay money for something that I do so rarely. And so, okay, I did it.
I must stop you here, just because I must say I expected the story to be about you not wanting to pay and having to, figure out how to make it work with free software. Now, that's taking a new angle I was not expecting. So please, go on.
Okay,
I can't wait for the end of that one.
So yeah. So, all right, $15, what the heck? About 6 months later, looking at my credit card, I realized it was $15 a month.
Ouch.
For something that I'm doing 30 minutes a month. So I was really unhappy. And honestly, I didn't even think to go to them and say, I just killed it, stopped it immediately once I realized I'd been doing that. And I started stepping back and thinking about this, because Adobe's been a part, PDFs have been a part of my life for 20 years, maybe 30. And I've never, ever had a company that was willing to pay the freight for me to do whatever sort of light occasional editing is I need to do. And I started thinking about that. And it's like, well, what that says is they have a cost structure problem. That the way they charge companies, just my use case doesn't fit, period. And I can't believe there aren't literally a billion people like me out there in the world that a couple times a month need to work on a PDF. And, I guess that's why there's this whole sub-market of third-party tools that you can use to edit them. But I kind of lay this at the feet of my feeling, and I really want to get your thoughts on this and how it could be handled differently. I feel like they've built a cost model that works for the guy who's doing it all day. But they have many, 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 many people out there who are casual users, and they don't have a model, period, other than go to a third party, which I can't believe is in their best interest.
Well, I guess it depends whether you're the target or not. I must say, and I think the same logic can apply to many companies. I must say they are incredibly good at hooking you in your early career. Meaning,
Yes.
I've been using Adobe Dreamweaver, Illustrator, Photoshop, everything about PDF for so many years that every time I need something, I have the software, and it's very expensive, I agree, but now I need it. I can't live without it because I'm using it all the time. Same thing probably many years ago, I was using PowerPoint from Microsoft, and one day I just figured out my company forced me to use Google Slides, and I was like, I don't want to use Google Slides. I'm used to PowerPoint. I love it. And then I switched, and now I would never go back. Same thing. We had that conversation with Netflix over Amazon Prime. Those companies, they create something so smart, so unique that you're hooked and you build habits, and good luck to change, because we are animals of habits. And once we have that habit in, we don't want to change. So they probably just consider you need PDF. You can't live without PDF. And that's exactly what you're saying. You've been using it for 30 years and you're not going to switch to any other format anytime soon. So you need that. So there are two choices. Either you accept that you're not going to change your PDF, or you accept that you're going to pay $15 a month. So I'm just thinking you're probably not the target. They target companies that are willing to pay that because they have a heavy need, or they expect that others will move to some kind of freemium, and that's just not their target, and they probably don't care about you. That would be my assumption. But the fact that the $15 wasn't clear that it was monthly and not a one-off purchase or annually or whatever you expected, that's a pretty broken process, because that builds a lot of frustration that should not have come in the first place.
Yeah, and I never went back and looked, and for all I know, it was reasonably clear, but I was able to go through and not notice that I was signing up for a subscription, not a one-time, and that I agree, that was the thing that really boiled my blood. But I guess I almost feel like there's a use case out there they're missing, and maybe I'm there's a lot of really smart people that work there, I'm sure, and they know this letter and verse, but it strikes me that somehow there's a casual user license with no more than 3 hours a month or 5 hours a month, something like that I would pay. I'd pay $15 a year. I'd be happy with that. And they're now, granted, it went long enough. It's a whole lot of years until they would have made more money on that than doing that. But I don't think their goal is to have people inadvertently paying monthly fees.
I would doubt. Yeah, same as you. I would be skeptical to think that could be their goal. I think that's probably a mistake, because it's not for $15 a month. Is not going to change their stock value or their general turnover. Now, what you mentioned here is really good, because that brings us back to customer journey mapping by a persona, and understanding all the different journeys and all the different types of customers you have. Because once you start analyzing that, you realize that there are three types of customers. Those customers that you want, those customers that you don't want. Maybe it's just not your model, it's not for you. And being an ex-entrepreneur, I know there are customers that bring you more trouble than actual money.
Right.
And that could be one of the scenario. And there are customers that you just did not expect. That would be, and that's what you were talking about here. Those are customers that would fit perfectly if you created a business model for them, or if you just, changed a little bit the offer to fit them, makes them satisfied with a little less and get some money out of it and satisfy more people. And you never know, they could grow into the first type of customer at a later stage. And that's probably where something's missing. They should probably study Max Bowles and the likes across their customer base.
I think being Max Ball, I think you're exactly right. And I think this is an example, and I'm sure the world is rife with them, of I'm sitting in category 2 of they don't care about me, they don't want me, but I believe that I should be in category 3, because there's no way I'm paying them $15 a month. That's silly. But I would pay them something, and I would pay it happily every year for the rest of my career. And they're missing that.
Well, put it that way. You are in my personal category 1, favorite customer, and I'm not going to charge you for this therapy, but next time I'm definitely going to get some money out of it. Sounds good?
All right, that sounds good. Well, I think I'll pay you every week from now on.
Perfect. I see you next week, Max Bowles. Have a fantastic week.
Thanks, Julien. Same to you. Take care.